Okay, so this is our 20. Here we go with Brandon just teaching us some stuff this week about how we can get into mount from being in this sort of turtle position almost, and just rolling back onto our back really, and then closing the guard around them, and then escaping this back control here as well, basically resting all of your weight into their hands and pushing your thumbs, as you can see there, into the hands that they're grasped around you, and escaping. So you see here I'm trying to lower my hips and sort of push his hands open and away. So I sort of felt a little bit like if we could do that sort of push and if we could do that push down and then turn into them, you could use that to sort of take them down as well. And that's what that sort of slow attempt was at, really. And again, we just practice this stuff, for a good 15-20 minutes, really. Alright, this is Brandon just going to show us what we're going to be doing today. Taking control really of being on the top of that. This is a terrible turtle here. My elbows should actually be inside of my knees, but he's going to try and get control of that wrist and use it to sort of take my base away. That's going to make it much easier for him to control me and then push me over. So his arm's coming sort of under my torso and grabbing the wrist. Because that elbow being out is what makes my base. Stops me from being pushed over. And then we were looking at how you can take this sort of attacking the turtle position from the top to use your momentum and weight. If you get that hook in underneath, as you might have just seen him put in there, and you're sort of turning away and using your momentum to roll over and then take the back. And of course you can apply that rear naked choke there. So you'll see it from this side. He sort of shoves me forward, gets that hook in, and then he's going to sort of look away and then use throw his leg over and use that momentum to pull me over and take the rear naked choke from the back. So the unfortunate thing about having these drills demonstrated on you is that you can't really see it at the time, so it makes it a bit difficult to get it right the first few times, but get my foot in nice and high and then use my momentum to go over the top of him and take that rear naked choke. And there my hooks need to be in, and they need to be high, and they need to be tight. Pretty sure we've heard me say that a few times before. That hand isn't doing really anything, and he's just using that momentum to get a really nice, tight, quick rear naked choke in. So shove forward, hook in. I don't really do the full look away, I sort of stand up, which means I'm just sort of like lowering my body onto him, where I need to turn away and twist into that. So I'll be drilling now. Oh no, so yeah, Brandon loves an uncomfortable position or move, and this one was particularly uncomfortable, and it's good to learn them, definitely, but yeah, you definitely come home with some sores all over the place from these sorts of moves. But I'm basically choking him using my weight to push onto the back of his head with my arm underneath him. Oh, I'll take the back instead though. Roll over and then that rear naked choke. So then this is what we've been doing a lot recently, and I've really enjoyed it, but I've sped it up again obviously for us. we do a minute where we just practice what we've been drilling, and his job is to try and defend it, and my job is to try and apply it. So I really enjoy doing these. It's a good way of getting used to the moves. It's a good way of getting a feel for what it should feel like actually while you're in a roll. So I've hurt my toe here. You'll notice this foot doesn't really go on the ground flat from the top. I'm okay to put pressure on it from the top there, but I've never really done kickboxing. I did a little training camp with Ernesto Hust. I've never sparred kickboxing, never probably thrown a kick before. So I stepped back as I threw a right kick and caught the top of his shin guard with my big toe. And that hurt a lot. So that affected me a little bit in Jiu Jitsu. But it just meant really I couldn't put my foot flat on the ground. And you'll see there I'm sort of protecting it by not having it on the ground, having it crossed over. And then Brandon just going through, if it's not working on one side, use their posture to sort of pivot around, as he's just done there. If you're struggling to get in on one side, sorry, I'm feeling pretty rough today. If you're struggling to get on one side, use the body to sort of spin around. And Brandon here, rolling with me, well not rolling, but just drilling with me, getting that hook in nice and tight, and then using that momentum, not quite to get the roll over, but still good. So we start again. And a good defending in there again as well. I sort of turn with him as he's trying to get that momentum over. And I guess that sort of links to what we did at the beginning really, where I could have rolled onto my back and then taken him into the guard. Quite high up on the ride there, so and then only 2 rolls today, one with Brandon, which you'll see now, and I've gone for a similar tactic that everyone's been using with me really, to grab both of those legs and try and get into the side control. Perhaps try a Das choke here. He does a good job not to come into my guard there while his head's trapped, comes around to the side and then rolls out of it. So I take the mount, and we did this a few weeks ago, well I think right at the beginning, maybe one of the first 2 or 3 sessions I've uploaded, hour 18 or 19, where I want to get my mount, sorry not guard of course, I want to get my mount, I want to get my hips nice and low, and I want to cross my feet under his legs. He does a good job at defending that. So then I managed to get his arms up. I couldn't quite remember how to get this submission. I think that left leg there needs to come around more. It still seems like it's tight to his body. I couldn't remember it. He wasn't there when we did it. So give it up, start again. And here I'm going to go for the Achilles. You can see the knee's gone in for the mayhem chop, and then I've gone for the Achilles lock. I should really have him flattened out a little bit more. And being more aware now of where see, it's still quite high. They get the tap, but his foot is still quite high on my arm, and it needs to be right down on my wrist. And we're just rolling now, and just whenever we roll and we get a submission, we're just starting from that point. I try and get my foot hooked underneath his butt there, so he can't do the same to me. And he goes for the arm under the knee and then closing my leg down. I'm not sure what it's called. I'm sure I'll learn it at some point. And he's got a good knee guard across my attempt to put him to the ground there. It stops me from being able to pressure down and then posture up and then escape his guard. I've got a hand on the mat there, that's crazy. That's an amateur move. And there as well. Try and jump over his guard, come around to the side, take side control. I want to get his arm up over my hip. And he does a good job of defending that by rolling over. He's defending what I'm doing there by keeping his arm up close to his head. So I kind of try and take one of his arms away with one leg. I want to do the same with the other, and then we come to the end of the round. And then roll with Ollie, my second one. Again, take both the legs, try and get that heel out of the way. Try and get his ankle out of the way so I can come around to the side control. Which I do. It's quite funny watching back and knowing that I'd injured my foot and seeing how I'm not putting any of that weight on it. I need to get my knee really across so that I can try and get that choke. And I get stuck in his foot. I get my foot stuck in his shorts there. Take a little time out. Start again. A triangle attempt. And then once I've broken his posturing up attempt there, I'm just going for a Kimura, my first Kimura off my back. I think I watched a couple of videos of it recently. Not the most technically beautiful of Kimuras, but nonetheless, a good submission. Very easy there for him to pop that leg over at mine. It shouldn't really be that easy. I do have him in a half guard, so not really doing anything too much there, and then very nearly mounted, managed to escape my other leg and then take that half guard again on the other side. And I think we'll probably just stay like this for a little bit. I want to roll him over, so I want to take away his base, and he's got his leg out quite wide there. And he's up into mount, very casual. So here I'm going to try and bump him high up onto my chest and then use my legs to escape or pull him back over as Daniel taught me last week, so to get that escape over and then roll around, roll 2 over, and that's it for the week. I need to remember to keep my elbows in when I'm in that turtle. That's important because it's dangerous having that arm out. Number 2 for next week is keeping those hands off the mat. A very dangerous game to play that, and it's a bit of a schoolboy error as well. And of course with that Achilles or that heel hook, I know I've probably said it many times before, and I am starting to get it now. I need to keep that his ankle or his Achilles really high up onto my wrist, so towards my hand, not towards my bicep. And that's it for hour 20. I can't believe it. Nearly a full day's worth of Jiu Jitsu training under my belt, proverbial belt. And it looks like lessons are becoming a little bit less consistent now. We're not training as regularly. But you know what, it is what it is, and I'm sure I'll be getting plenty more Jiu-Jitsu training in the future if I do start to run out of sessions I can upload from CM Reap. But for now, that was hour 20. Next week will be hour 21. See you then.